Hi, this is Abe Martin. I'm just here to do some family history interviews with my grandmother, Marilyn Israelsen. It's June of 2012. All right. Grandma, tell me about your first memories of learning about the gospel.
I can remember when I was a little girl. I was probably about 5 or 6, and we lived in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And I remember that President, only he wasn't president then, he was an apostle, George Albert Smith, came to our little branch that was being held in the women's club in Albuquerque. And I remember he spoke, and then we all went up and shook his hand because we had a very small branch. And he took out a little missionary card, and he turned it over, and on the back side, he had his name on the front, but the back side had a picture of Salt Lake. And he made a little arrow, and he said, "Birthplace of George Albert Smith." And I remembered that he was a very important man in the church. And I still have that card because it was so important to me. And then I also remember we moved to, let's see, I can't remember. I can remember vaguely, and I'm not sure what, couldn't have been in Albuquerque, but I can't remember who it was, that all the little kids got up and bore their testimonies. And I can remember doing that. But I think in Albuquerque, when I was probably 9 or 10 years of age, I read an article in, it must have been a church book, a church magazine, but it talked about being modest and being, not dressing like the world. And I remember thinking, I am a Mormon, and so I don't want to dress like the world dresses. I want to always be very modest. And then I remember hearing the stories about the Book of Mormon and different things in Sunday school. And I remember singing Little Purple Pansies in primary, and Jesus Wants Me for a Sunbeam, and Give Said the Little Stream. And those are my earliest memories of church. But then I also remember in Albuquerque, we moved when I was 11, but my father was the branch president, and he was responsible for building a church in Albuquerque, the very first church. And I can remember how excited we all were to have our own church. And I also remember, because he was the branch president, when the mission president would come to visit us and brought general authority, they always had dinner at our house. And I remember, let's see, I can't remember what his name was, but I remember the mission president's name was Brother Segmiller, who was a very good friend of my father. And the general authority was, I can't remember right off, but he was kind of a outspoken man. And my dad liked to tease and liked to say silly things sometimes to make people laugh. And this elder said, "Brother Segmiller, you need to get rid of that young, arrogant branch president in Albuquerque, New Mexico." And Brother Segmiller said, "I'm not going to. He's the very best branch president I have in the whole mission." So anyway, those are the things I remember when I was a little girl.
That's great.
About the church.